Good afternoon and welcome to USDA's Fall Data Users Meeting. My name is Joe Parsons. I serve as chair of the NASS Agricultural Statistics Board and will be serving as your moderator for this event. We're glad you're with us today and look forward to sharing our programs with you. We appreciate the opportunity to receive feedback on our products and services and discuss recent and pending program changes. A few housekeeping notes. We're offering closed captioning for those of you who find it difficult to hear the discussion. You'll find the closed captioning on the ribbon at the bottom of the screen. As we've done in the past, recordings, slides, and the Q&A transcripts will be available on our website after the meeting. If for some unforeseen event or technical problem occurs, we'll try to deal with it quickly. If we're unable to remedy the situation and need to end and restart, we'll communicate with each of you via your email from the registration, likely with a new link to resume the meeting. Hopefully this won't be necessary. Given the size of our group today, we will dispense with audience introductions, but we request that you share your name and organization as you offer questions in the breakouts and the open session tomorrow. Speaking of questions, at the bottom of the screen on the ribbon, there's a Q&A button to post questions. There's also a chat window we will monitor for technical issues and post links to files and such as needed. There's also an option to raise your hand if you're having difficulty, and we can try to help. If you're having difficulty, you may also email Marissa or Vincent at the email shown on the screen. Marissa and Vincent will be helping me monitor all of these streams. By the way, if you have a colleague that would like to join at the last minute, Marissa or Vincent can also help with that. We have many attendees and distinguished guests from around the world, including folks from Statistics Canada and the Mexico Agricultural Statistics Organizations. I want to give you a quick tour of our program today. We continue to tweak the format just a little bit. This time we increased the number of breakout sessions and look forward to your feedback on the change in the session overall. In just a minute or two, we'll have agency representatives deliver some brief remarks, providing updates on their program of work. Any questions that get posted during this first session, we're going to hold those for the breakouts or the main session tomorrow. In a little less than an hour, we'll host the first of 4 breakout sessions. At 1 p.m. Eastern, you'll have the choice of taking a deeper dive with AMS on the Ag Transport platform or joining World Board, FAS, and Census on their activities. There'll be a brief break, then at 2:05, a second set of breakouts will begin. NASS will take a deeper dive on its milk production program, and ERS will showcase some of their data and information on their new initiatives. The session today will conclude at 3 p.m. If you have thoughts for future breakouts, please let us know. If you're like me and you're having trouble deciding which option to join, we hope that we can lower your fear of missing out, or FOMO, as we will post the videos of the 4 breakout sessions on our website tomorrow morning for your viewing or reviewing pleasure. The link to the page will be sent to you via email in the morning as soon as we've got the videos up. We're going to reconvene tomorrow at noon and get right into an open Q&A. If you have questions on a particular area that was a focus of a breakout session that you were unable to attend, we encourage you to check out the recorded version before tomorrow at noon, as we may have addressed your question in the breakout. Last but definitely not least, we have 2 additional breakout sessions after our main session tomorrow. The first of tomorrow's sessions, you can sit in on a discussion of the 2021 Western Drought by World Board meteorologists, or sit in on the AMS Market news session. Our last session will be a choice between NASS modernization or FAS on its Global Agricultural and Disaster Assessment Program or system. We'll conclude tomorrow's program at 3 p.m. also. Okay, so back to today. In the reminder email from Marissa you received earlier this week, you should have received an attached file with highlights of each of the participating agencies here today. You may want to look at that for additional discussion beyond our panelists' brief remarks this afternoon. For each of the panelists, I'll ask that you please introduce yourself and then provide some brief remarks. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to short timer Mike Lynch at AMS to get us started. Mike?
Thank you, Joe. It's my pleasure to join you all here today in representing Agriculture Marketing Service, where our mission is to facilitate the competitive and efficient marketing of agricultural products. With that, I'll give a few highlights here from AMS Market News. First of all, livestock mandatory reporting reauthorization, which was due to expire at the end of September, that authorization was extended as part of the current continuing resolution. So that authority was currently extended to December 3rd of 2021, which is the same situation that we dealt with last year. And so, hopefully this gives the industry and Congress more time to resolve some issues and reach hopefully some consensus on some potential legislative improvements to the program. During the last year, our program, we've been conducting a lot of outreach to educate producers and stakeholders about the data sources and reports available. We've created some new report user guides for several key swine and pork and cattle and boxed beef reports. We've leveraged our USDA Cattle and Carcass Training Center to conduct a webinar series last June on cattle and boxed beef reporting. Last month, we held a webinar to highlight 2 new LMR cattle reports, which I'll touch on in a second, and our new meat grading dashboard that AMS launched in July. Coinciding with Pork Month, AMS is hosting an educational webinar on LMR swine and pork reporting. The first installment was held yesterday and will continue over the next 2 Tuesdays, the next 2 weeks on Tuesday. There is still time to register if you are interested. When I finish speaking here, I will put the registration link in the chat. As I mentioned, in August, Market News launched 2 new LMR cattle reports, the daily formula base report and a weekly net price distribution report. We hope these reports will address some of the concerns we've heard from stakeholders wanting more information and transparency in the formula purchases space, as well as other purchase type categories. The My Market News development, as you know, continues. We have several commodity market types and reports that will be transitioning to My Market News over the next several months. For those of you who are tracking that, we keep people posted on that on the My Market News website, and as well in the breakout session tomorrow, Jason Carwall will be able to go over that more in depth. Additionally, for My Market News, we have answered one of the requests we've heard from this audience and introduced new functionality that allows users to identify corrected data sets by report and through the data received through the APIs. To help further data user experience, AMS is developing and piloting a Market News mobile app to work on both iPhones and Android phones, which should offer many of the same features users that we all come to expect from apps on our phones. We plan to pilot this initially in livestock, poultry, and grain market news, and then expand it and build it out for the other AMS commodity areas in the coming year. Version 1 of this app is expected to be completed this November. AMS Market News, I mentioned this back at the last data users meeting. We will be launching our next customer satisfaction survey as early as next week. So please keep an eye out for this. There will be a pop-up on our AMS and My Market News websites. If you get the survey, if you see the pop-up, please respond. The survey will also be distributed by email through Market News subscribers through Cornell Man Library and Gov Delivery. We do this survey every 3 years, and your feedback is very important. The results are used to measure customer satisfaction, service delivery, and relevance, as well as in determining future direction and improvements to the Market News reporting programs. This year, we've also included, I believe, a couple open-ended questions to get some feedback on stakeholders' impact through from COVID and your ability to reach our staff and receive service from our staff in that process. In closing, I'd like to give a shout out to our upcoming AMS breakout sessions. First off, this afternoon, our AMS transportation and marketing team will be sharing some exciting information on their ag transport open data platform. Given all the current supply chain issues out there, This session is very timely. Secondly, tomorrow afternoon, we will host an AMS Market News breakout session to dive a little deeper into some of the initiatives I shared with you today, and most importantly, to answer your questions about our reports and data. And with that, I thank you for your time, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Spiro Stefano.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mike. Well, thank you for attending the Fall Data Users Meeting. I'm pleased to return to this meeting to provide updates on ERS. It's an exciting time at ERS. I joined ERS as the administrator in August of 2020. Recently had my one-year anniversary as administrator. I gave a State of ERS talk to our staff recently, and I'd like to share with you a few highlights. I'm excited about the progress we've made and the great things we have yet to accomplish. But as many of you know, ERS has been through a transition over the last few years. We are a small federal statistical agency with significant roles and responsibilities in providing data and analysis about the ag sector. ERS has a strong leadership team in place now with many management positions filled. Over the last 2 years, we've hired nearly 100 new staff, bringing much expertise to the agency. We are the new ERS. We have filled almost all of our management positions, along with many of our senior economists, data scientists, publishing, web management positions. There are folks with significant experience who come from other parts of federal service, academia, industry, and elsewhere. They bring fresh perspectives, new ideas, and importantly, the skills and expertise needed to deliver a high-quality research program. We've also hired significant new talent in the form of researchers fresh out of graduate school and just starting their careers. Again, bringing new talent and energy to the agency. Hiring a great team allows us to do great work. It is the start of a new fiscal year, and as we look ahead, my priority for ERS remains the same: to deliver high-quality data, research, and analysis in a timely way. And we continue to respond to the need for information created by the pandemic. Our Commodity Outlook newsletters and monthly food price outlook provide near real-time analysis on a regular and recurring basis. The pandemic is also reflected in our other ERS data products, such as the Farm Income Forecast. The latest forecast found net farm income is forecast to increase by $18.5 billion from 2020 to $113 billion in 2021. Other reports, such as our annual food security report, provide timely findings, such as food insecurity remaining at 10.5% in all U.S. households in both 2019 and 2020, although some groups experience increases in food insecurity. We have a COVID rapid response team in place, and it also continues to produce working papers on topics such as filling the pandemic meal gap, disruptions to child nutrition programs, and expansion of free meal sites in the early months of the pandemic. And another is the financial assistance for farm operations and farm households in the face of COVID-19. We have released 7 papers so far and have plans to release more. Many of you use our data products regularly. If you have an interest in food access, I encourage you to explore the Food Access Research Atlas. Not only did we update it earlier this year with 2019 data so that you can now compare it with 2015, we also released an interactive guide that provides an overview of the atlas, its measures, and why we study food access. I would also like to mention that we are planning a data products webinar series for next year. This is a result of successful and well-received trial this year when we held a webinar on our commodity costs and returns data product. You'll be hearing more about the commodity costs and returns data product in the session later today. In this new webinar series, we'll highlight different ERS data products, including how to access and use them, allow time for Q&A. Stay tuned for more details and be sure to visit our website to see all of our archived webinars. And finally, I said in the spring that we want to make an impact, and I'm pleased to report that we are. I'd like to bring your attention in particular to two ERS reports that demonstrate our ability to be timely, nimble, and policy relevant. When the European Commission unveiled its farm to fork and biodiversity strategies last year, there was a need for economic research to examine the impacts of each adoption scenario. ERS researchers sprang to action, and we released a research report on this topic in a matter of weeks. And just in the last month, we once again released a timely and policy relevant research report to provide an evaluation of the policy proposal, the effect of family farms of changing capital gains taxation at death. This presents a framework for evaluating the effects of changes in capital gains taxation on inherited assets, provides an analysis of potential impacts on family farm estates' capital gain tax liability under the proposed American Families Plan. I look forward to talking with you more about the work ERS is producing, its impact, and where we go from here. I encourage you to follow us as we continue to produce timely and relevant information. For the latest news from ERS, please subscribe to email updates via our website and follow us on Twitter at USDA_ERS and on LinkedIn. With that, thank you, and I will pass it over to our colleague, Patrick Packnett at FAS.
Good morning, afternoon, I'm sorry. So I'm Patrick Packnett, the Deputy Administrator of Global Market Analysis in FAS. For those of you who may be new to this meeting, FAS brings the foreign component to USDA's supply and demand estimates process. We are responsible for the commodity reporting from our overseas offices. We also are responsible for the export sales report, as well as over 60 monthly and biannual commodity circulars each year, in addition to maintaining the public-facing PS&D and GATS databases. So I'll be very brief in my remarks since we don't have a lot of changes since we last met in April. And first, I'll cover the FAS homepage. Many of you are aware and probably have adjusted now to the new look and feel of the FAS homepage. We launched a new website back in May, and this was an update that was in response to some web modernization initiatives at both OMB and USDA. Speaking for the data and analysis material, which is what most of you are interested in the design, we've tried to push forward some of our world markets and trade reports and other frequently accessed material more to the top of the page. And we moved access to our key databases to a large panel that's on the right-hand side of the page. Also, with the growing popularity and use of APIs, we've emphasized our API data portal by placing it at the very top of the homepage under data and analysis. So we hope those changes make things easier for our users to find what they're looking for. Moving on to gain reporting. We've completed now the process of getting all of our older gain to our new gain system. So users no longer need to access the legacy gain system to get at the older reports. We're also hoping in the future to make some further enhancements to our gain system, including improving the search capabilities with respect to the gain reports. Also on gain, I want to talk a little bit about Russia reporting. USDA no longer has staff in Russia after the US diplomatic presence was sharply reduced as of August the 1st. So unfortunately, this means that we will no longer have our attaché gain reports and commodity reporting coming out of Russia. We will, of course, resume official commodity reporting once our diplomatic presence in the country has been restored. In the meantime, we are exploring and utilizing all available avenues that we have to secure good commodity intelligence from Russia to support our official supply and demand estimates, which of course will continue. We, of course, will continue to monitor our satellite data and our weather data as well as a key input to our crop area and yield estimates. We hope also, to the extent possible, be able to fill the void on intelligence for Russia with some articles in our commodity circulars, as well as other ad hoc articles on the FAS homepage. Moving on to talk about export sales. We have an ongoing project to upgrade our export sales reporting and maintenance system that started in January. We've completed the first stage of the upgrades, and exporters are now being randomly selected to participate in a series of user acceptance testing over the next several months. Now, most of the work in the upgrade would probably be considered back-end, in that it's dealing with the way the exporters provide the data to us, and the way we collect, tabulate, and report the data. So overall, this upgrade is going to mean more automated, efficient, and reliable operation for our staff, as well as the exporters who are sending us the data. We didn't leave out the data users entirely, however. We expect that the folks that are using the export sales data will see a more streamlined and set of user-friendly reports, as well as an upgraded query system, and in addition to some improvements in the API to make pulling the data from the export sales system easier. We expect the upgraded system to be operational early in calendar year 2022. Just a reminder on Brexit. I covered this in the meeting in April, but just to remind folks that we've made changes in GATS as well as PS&D to recognize the implementation of Brexit. In the GATS system, with the release of the January 2021 data in March, the EU was designated as the 27-member post-Brexit group. We've retained the EU 28 partner group for historical data. For PS&D, we're separating the UK data from the EU data as we roll out next marketing year supply and demand data. So the change was implemented in May for our field crops. We just implemented the change for livestock and poultry this month with the October circulars, and for dairy, we'll do so in December. In all cases, for these commodities, we're providing 5 years of historical data for the EU 27 as well as the UK. So that's all I have from FAS. I look forward to this afternoon's breakout session on farm production and trade to dig deeper into any questions that attendees may have. Thank you very much, and I'll pass the mic over to Mike Walter.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Walter with the Farm Service Agency. I am our FSA's Data Analytics Officer. This is actually a position that we created within the last year. So this is my first trip to this and kind of my first time going down this path. So I'm here to provide you with the FSA's updates. I kind of feel like FSA is a little bit of an outlier compared to the other agencies around here, because our main mission is the collection of data as far as a payment standpoint, for providing a strong safety net to our farmers and ranchers out there across America, as well as administering disaster programs and conservation programs as well. We also run loan programs, that with emphasis on folks that cannot get private or commercial credit, with a lot of special emphasis on beginning farmers, minorities, women ranchers and farmers. So, we take in a tremendous amount of data, and we're not necessarily the agency that is presenting the data in research studies and other publications. I mean, obviously a lot of our data feeds that, but it's not our main mission. And it's been a very busy few months for us here at FSA. October is always our busiest time as we execute our annual agricultural risk coverage and conservation reserve program payments. They come out at the start of each fiscal year. So it's really been a heads down approach for the last couple of months, prepping for those payment runs and getting those payments issued and out there to the hands of our farmers and ranchers. Along with that, we've also spent quite a bit of time on pandemic-related programs, targeting producers in agricultural areas that weren't targeted in the CFAP programs that we had in the prior years. With my time here at FSA, obviously we're putting greater emphasis on data and putting data out there to the public. A couple things in our modernization process that you're now out there to see is a great example is the CFAP2 dashboard, which we've published on our farmers.gov page, but gives the public the insight in a dashboard format of a drag and drop to tell payments by commodity, payments by state, payments by county. So we're making this commitment to put more data out there, making it easier when shareable, obviously, making it easier for the greater public to be able to see and answer these questions and not have to go through an individual process on each one. In a agricultural risk price loss coverage program, we have recently put out the yields and the prices that are needed to calculate those payments, which are always a great interest for our universities and folks to calculate those payments and to see the impact on a county by county basis across the nation. In addition to those, we plan to do the same thing for the pandemic programs to be able to publish that data and be able to get you guys to self-serve with that. The best two places for that are the farmers.gov website and the FSA.USDA.gov website. Underneath there, you'll find for the data that is available by program area. It's not standardized in a one-page data users for all. You would go look at the Conservation Reserve Program and be able to see the stats that we publish for the Conservation Reserve Program, be able to go into agricultural risk coverage and see the stats in the data libraries for that. So it is somewhat segmented, but it is a great move into the future. Two of the data sets that we collect that are the largest are the crop acreage reporting data sets and our farm record data sets. And we are in the commitment of publishing those summary level values for what is reported to Farm Service Agency for the crop reporting data. And I think that gives a great insight of counts and amounts that are out there and reported to FSA by our producers, farmers, and ranchers across the nation. So that's, is a pretty quick update for this. Those are the new areas that we have data out there and the areas that we've continued to commit to add. And as we modernize, I think we'll have much greater tools at our disposal to be able to expose some of this data in a summarized format for users to use. And with that, I thank you for your time, and I will turn it over to Mark Jankowski at the World Agricultural Outlook Board. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Jankowski. I'm the chairman of the World Agricultural Outlook Board. And for those of you who don't know about the World Board, we have a very straightforward mission, and that mission hasn't changed much since our agency was established back in 1977. And that is to put out the WASDE report, the World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimates report, once a month. So it goes out 12 times a year, and we've been doing that successfully for over 40 years now. So we're a small agency, about 20 staff, including 5 meteorologists, and but we coordinate with experts from across USDA. The World Board chairs the USDA's interagency commodity estimates committees, which have representatives from all of the agencies on this panel today, including ERS, FAS, FSA, and AMS as well. So putting the WASDE together is really a team effort. But we lead that effort, and but we do it with the help of experts from across USDA. One quick staffing update I'd like to announce since our last meeting in April. This past August, we hired a new food grains economist to work with our food grains chair. Mark Simone is our food grains chair. So we brought in an assistant to work with him. Kevin Wittenberger. He came to us from the State Department, where he spent the last 10 years of his career working in several overseas posts, including the Philippines. And prior to that, he was a oilseeds analyst at ERS, working as an understudy to Mark Ash. If any of you who work in the oilseeds area probably know of Mark Ash, and so Kevin was learned from Mark and benefited from that training, and we're happy to have him on board. He's been with us now for a couple of months. And last thing I'd like to note, in addition to the WASDE, the one other major product or major event that we coordinate here at the World Board is the Agricultural Outlook Forum. Once a year, every February. Again, it's a major USDA event with participation from all USDA agencies. Last year, well, really this year, was our first fully virtual, in February of 2021, fully virtual Ag Outlook Forum. And now we are planning for Ag Outlook Forum 2022. It will also be virtual again this year. There might also, depending on how things shake out, we might have some in-person components of it as well, but the platform itself will be accessible online and free for everyone to attend. So mark your calendar for February 24th and 25th. We'll hope to see you there, and registration will be opening soon on the OCE website, so keep an eye open for that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joe DeCampo from Census.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'll keep this brief so we can get back to the main event that is USDA. I'm Joseph DeCampo with the U.S. Census Bureau. As always, we'd like to thank our colleagues at the USDA for inviting us to be a part of this event. I'm the section supervisor over foods and textiles in the International Trade Indicator Microanalysis branch of the Economic Indicators Division. Our group analyzes the underlying import and export data that goes into the monthly International Trade in Goods and Services press release, the FT900, which is a joint release with the Bureau of Economic Analysis. As I'm sure you all know, we recently released August data on October 5th. And of course, all of our data is available for free on USA Trade online. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dan.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Good afternoon. I'm Dan Korestis, Director of Statistics Division and Executive Director of the Ag Statistics Board. I'm going to cover some of the new items that have come about since the April data users meeting. Beginning with crops, I think most of you are aware that NASS has been issuing methodology and quality measures reports for a lot of our releases for some time. However, this year we issued two new reports for crop items, a report for grain stocks in April and a report for the small grain summary in September. I would also like to mention that just last week we issued another report for the small grain summary that covers the current crop year. NASS updated acreage estimates for corn, soybeans, sorghum, and sugar beets in the September crop report, 1 month earlier than normal. The necessary data, including survey data, satellite-based data, and the latest information from USDA's Farm Service Agency and Risk Management Agency, were complete to support the review. This change was for 2021 only. However, NASS will continue to consider whether to adjust the schedule in future years. NASS is beginning a hemp survey this fall. We are planning to issue a report in February of 2022. The survey collects information on acreage, yield, production, price, and the value of hemp in the United States. Looking at economics, we had two reports for chemical usage this year. For field crops, We highlighted soybeans. The chemical usage report for vegetables covered multiple vegetable commodities. In August, we released a farm computer usage and ownership report. This report is issued every 2 years. Also in August, we released the cash rents information. In that release of data, we discontinued district level estimates, allowing us to publish more counties. The discontinuation of district level estimates not only allows publishing more information, as I previously mentioned, but it also allows NASS to standardize the publication of county level data across crops, livestock, and economics. Continuing with economics, NASS put out a data visualization on our website for U.S. congressional districts. This visualization includes a gradient scaling of a U.S. map with data such as rankings of gross value of sales and market value of agricultural products sold by category. In February of 2021, NASS reinstated the Farm Labor Report. For the release in November, we will no longer publish base wage or base hour data. This will allow NASS to lower the sample size and respondent burden. Conservation Practices Adoption Motivation Survey is a 2-year cooperative effort with NRCS to measure farmers and ranchers' conservation practices, adoption behaviors, and adoption reasons on cropland, grazing land, forest land, and concentrated livestock feeding operations. Moving to livestock, annual methodology and quality measure reports for hogs and pigs, cattle on feed, and milk production continue to be published. Improvements were made this year to catfish, honey, mink, sheep, and goats and trout. A report was added for chicken and eggs, and we should see one coming out soon for honeybee colonies. As most of you know, we have been doing stat chat on Twitter for crop releases for some time now. Just recently, we began holding stat chat for hogs and pigs and cattle releases. Stat chat follows 1 hour after the release time. So for livestock, that means at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Looking at the Census of Agriculture, this year NASS has been working on building the census mail list to ensure coverage of all farmers and ranchers. For 2022, we will be testing the various processes and preparing for the upcoming census. We will be mailing out the 2022 Census of Agriculture at the end of 2022. Looking at modernization at NASS, the integrated modeling and geospatial estimation system is a new process we're working on. We are trying to make better use of all administrative, survey, and satellite data to establish estimates, possibly timelier and a quicker response after disasters in the future. We are working with the department to make use of their cloud computing facilities. NASS is also building a respondent portal that will make responding to NASS surveys easier and provide feedback to the respondents. We are also in the process of building a new dissemination system. This approach will change how NASS releases the data to the public and make the querying of data easier and hopefully quicker. We are planning to do this in stages, with the first stage, a dairy landing page, being released in 2022 to the public. We will be discussing this further at the NASS modernization session tomorrow. NASS is also conducting a review of our grain stocks program. We hope to finalize our findings and are looking at making improvements in the upcoming year. The document containing the release dates for principal federal economic indicators was posted to the website on October 1st. This document shows the release dates for acreage, production, grain stocks, cattle, and hogs and pigs. We are planning to post the entire NASS ASB release calendar at the end of next week, but no later than the end of October. Please join us this afternoon as we explain the NASS dairy program. In closing, just a reminder that all reports are available at the NASS website, and we are always willing to take questions via phone or internet. Thank you for your time, and I'm turning this back to Joe Parsons.
Hi, Dan. Thanks. And thanks to all of our panelists. I think we heard some good advertisements for some of the upcoming sessions. So a lot of competition there for the breakout sessions. So I think you'll have some hard choices to figure out where to go this afternoon and tomorrow. So I hope this got everybody thinking about the questions that you want to raise later this afternoon and tomorrow. We're going to conclude this main session for today. And we're going to encourage you to join a breakout session that'll start at 1 p.m. Links to the first 2 sessions are in the chat or will be here in a moment. I don't know if Marissa has them out there yet. And also in your registration email. So let me repeat that because we lost a few folks, I think, in the spring. The links to the first 2 sessions should be in the chat and also in your registration email. So you can make a click there and then be able to open that session when it starts at 1 o'clock. If you're having any difficulty, you can email Marissa or Vincent, as I mentioned at the top of the call. Thanks, everyone, and we hope to see you in the breakout sessions and again tomorrow. So with that, we'll conclude this session. We'll keep the line open just a minute so you can get at the links, but we'll bring this to a close and we'll see you all at 1 o'clock.